Struggling with knee pain and worried about muscle loss as you age? You're not alone. Weak muscles can make pain worse. It can slow you down. It makes the joint itself unstable, but it doesn't have to be this way. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 simple ways to fight muscle loss, keep your knees strong, and stay active for years to come. Stick around to take control of your mobility. Let's get started. The fancy term for muscle loss as we age is sarcopenia. It really means that we're losing muscle mass. It totally depends on who you speak with, what literature you review, but it's very safe to say that at the age of 30 and beyond, for each decade, we lose a certain percent of our muscle mass. We can fight it. We can decrease it. The number one way to do that is with resistance training. Resistance just means that you're just not moving the joint around air. So that can be with weights. It can be with something like a resistance band, like these. It can be with using your own body weight. If you don't have weights, you don't go to the gym, you don't have bands, so you can use your entire body weight. What we want to do for resistance training, specifically around the knees, is we can do a sit and stand. We've discussed that. I'll link that specific video in the notes below, but it's both to increase the mass or the actual size of the muscle, the strength of the muscle, and the power. That part of going from a seated to a standing in a rapid fashion increases power, and to really have good muscle health, it's all 3 things: mass, strength, and power. So that's one. The next one to do is a squat. Squats are great because it's taking care of things at the hip as well as at the knee. So it's called a compound exercise. I'll get to that in a second. But really, that's another one. We want to look at lunges as another one for the knees, as long as you have proper form. So resistance training, higher weights, and smaller number of reps, and really good form. So in the old days, we talk about doing 3 reps of 20 reps, 3 sets. That's not how you're going to build muscle. You can maintain, and that's fine, but at least twice a week, you should be putting increased stress, increased weights, meaning a good goal is being able to do maybe 8 to 10 reps to failure. You've got to weight on heavy enough that you would fail, or your form would start to fail if you went beyond 10 reps. So if we're doing squats, we've got a weight that is heavy enough that I can only do 8 without my knees starting to feel a little shaky, or my quads starting to shake, or that I wanted to turn my knees out or turn my toes in. I'm starting to notice a little something with my shoulders. So that is how you do a building. So resistance training. Number 2, a compound exercise. We alluded to this before. It means you're not doing something very simple. Let's do something very simple. For example, I've got my elbow and I want to work just the extensors of my elbow. I'm showing you here because it's harder to show the leg. So extensors of the elbow here. I'm merely changing at the wrist here. Wrist extensors, and they attach at the elbow because we have sometimes lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow. So that's only around that one joint. That is a simple, it's not a compound exercise. A compound exercise is using 2 to 3 joints. A compound exercise is using 3 or 4 muscle groups. And again, I'm going to say for the knees, a good compound exercise is a squat, because it's involving the spine, it is involving the sacroiliac joint, it's involving the hip joint, it's involving the knee joint. You're actually even hinging at the ankle. So we've got multiple joints involved. We've got way more than 2 muscles involved. We've got the quads, we've got the glutes, and depending on how you're turning your toes, we've got the glute medius, glute minimus, because we're looking at the hip abductors or abductors. So that's even better. It helps recruit multiple muscle groups, and you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck. The third one is weight-bearing exercises. If we weight bear with our exercises, think walk, hiking, going up and down stairs. That is weight bearing. And with every strike of the heel to the move of the toe in that swing and stance phase of the walking motion, you are actually transmitting force from the ground all the way up through those bones, and it stimulates the maintenance of bones as well. So we're less likely to be osteopenic or osteoporotic. So increasing the muscle mass as well as increasing the bone density. These are all fantastic. What's wrong with anything that's not weight bearing? There's nothing wrong with cycling. There's nothing wrong with swimming, but I'm saying in a balanced program, we want to have weight bearing exercise. The goal should be a minimum of 5,000 steps per day, ideally above 10,000 steps per day. And you're like, but I'm in pain. I can't walk 5,000 steps a day or 10,000 steps a day. That's why I do cycling. That's why I'm on the Stairmaster, whatever. You can still do these kind of things where you can add in some weight bearing. The elliptical is technically weight bearing. It's not pavement pounding. You're not on the treadmill. You're not running on the treadmill. You are taking those steps up and down. So depending on if you're in a gym, in a home gym, or out on the pavement or out on a soft surface, you can change the surface that you're walking on. You can make sure you've got great shoes with good arch support that you're changing out every few intervals of miles. You know, they're like tires. You want to make sure that you have good traction control. You want to make sure that the pressure from the weight translating all the way through has not worn down the cushioning of the shoe. You can do some things like taping to make sure that we've got the right amount of alignment of the kneecap. We can do things like a knee brace that you can put on. You can use things to help stabilize so that when you are doing those weight-bearing activities, that you are decreasing the amount of pain. Number 4, protein. Protein is the macro. We've got fats, we've got carbs, and we've got proteins. The things that make up proteins are amino acids. We have essential amino acids, meaning ones that we have to get from the diet, and the amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of our muscles. Historically, we just don't eat enough protein, particularly if we're following the USDA guidelines. It's talking about 0.8 grams per kilogram per day. That is not nearly enough. Most people, even in maintenance phase, particularly as we age, 1.5 to 2 grams per kilo per day. A good way to look at that is basically a gram per pound. I know that sounds overwhelming. I'm 175 pounds. That means I need 175 grams of protein a day. Okay, I'm realistic. Let's at least aim for 100 grams of protein per day. Look at those high protein foods. Look at things like an egg is 6. Look at the size of your palm for a serving of meat. Look at the non-meat type sources like quinoa. Quinoa is a complete protein. It's got all the essential amino acids in it. So if you don't eat meat, but think lean fish, lean meat, lean chicken, lean pork, and get that protein in. And it's really important when we get the protein in. This is something that's not always discussed. Imagine you've done this big workout. You've just been to the gym. You've done your resistance training. You've done some weight-bearing exercise. Now you've got to fuel that body with protein. Ideally, getting 10 to 15 grams of protein within 30 minutes of stopping the exercise. So that means if you're going to stop and go to the store on the way home, you're got a greater than 30-minute commute to get home, you need to bring that protein with you, whether that be a little shake, whether that be you've got a lean protein stick, something, because otherwise your body says, I just depleted all the stores in my liver. I don't have glycogen anymore. I now need to start using another source for my fuel. It turns to the muscle and it starts deteriorating the muscle. Another good tip is spreading the protein out 3 times a day or in regular schedules. So say if you're aiming for that 100 grams a day, that's basically 30 to 35 grams in the morning, in the midday, and in the evening. That was shown to be more effective in building muscle mass and maintaining muscle mass than having very little in the morning and then backloading it on the end of the day. So that's another tip. Number 5. choose the stairs. Choose the stairs instead of the escalator or using the elevator. It's as simple as we age, we often say, I've already put in so many steps for the day, I'm just going to take the stairs. Or downsize. We go from a 2-story house to that 1-story house, and people actually start to lose muscle when they do that, because you never know how many steps, and weight-bearing steps at that, of going up and down your stairs 10, 12, 15 times a day. That helps maintain that lower extremity mass, meaning your leg mass. And if we decrease our leg mass, then from the knees, we're decreasing the amount of stabilization above the knees and below the knees. We're also decreasing our bone density. We're also making it so that if we do fall, first of all, we're at an increased risk of falling. But if we do fall, we're not going to have that muscle mass that's A, going to protect us from a fracture or a break, or B, going to help us in rehabilitating if we have done a fall and we've got to be bedbound for a couple of days or decreased amount of activity for a few weeks, or in a physical therapy rebuilding rehabilitation program. We need all the muscle mass we can have. So the 5 things: resistance training, higher weights to failure at about 8 to 10 reps, compound exercises, moving around more than one joint, think squats. We want more than one muscle group that's being worked. Weight-bearing exercise, such as walking, hiking. Protein, lots of protein. Aim for at least 100 grams a day. More if you are rehabilitating. More if we put you through a platelet-rich plasma or a bone marrow or an adipose regenerative procedure. We talk about bigger increases with that, and that's all supervised by me. And choose the stairs. If you found this very helpful, please like, please subscribe, and share. I would love to work with you. You've got a chance to work with me. Find out how below. If you have knee pain and would like to learn more, I have a worksheet called 5 Things to Do Now to Reduce Your Knee Pain Within a Week. Go to www.kneeboostnow.com to download it for free. I'd love to hear from you, so please like, subscribe, and comment below so I can help you get out of your knee pain.